Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Inner Hour. Thank you for being present here with us. We appreciate it. Um, just a quick note. There may be another couple joining us tonight yet. I'm not sure. But anyway, welcome here. I think this is my lovely honey with some water because I forgot to bring some up for myself. Yay! Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, yay, water. All right, so welcome. We're going to start the way I usually do with lighting a little candle on my end to give myself and you, if you choose, just a moment to focus and let go of the day and the week and whatever else. Just become present here in that spirit that dwells in us and among us. So. All right. So again, thank you for joining us. This will probably be the last one in our Good and Evil series, depending on how the discussion goes tonight and so on. Or if somebody brings up something we don't have time to finish, or somebody emails me something that you'd like to finish up on that we haven't touched on. We may add one more, so we'll just see how tonight goes. So I'm flexible with that. Um, if we are going to start a new series next time, then we'll send out a notice as to what that will be. And if it's the same, then you'll just get the regular reminder. Also, the links that you have are good through the rest of this calendar year. And then I'll be setting up new ones for the next calendar year. So we send them out every Tuesday. You can get them anyway. Uh, you don't have to keep track of them, but if you do have it somewhere saved, it'll be the same link through the end of this year. And all right, I think that's that. I just want to mention to those of you in the local area, we had a really lovely weekend so far. I'm a little tired actually because for me it's been nonstop since Friday, and we had a really wonderful gathering and potluck at Bill and Jan's home this Saturday all day, which was great. And then I was the guest speaker at Unity today, and then we had a men's group at Unity today, and now we're doing this. So it's been a wonderful long weekend. And for those of you who are able to join us locally, that I hope you enjoyed the parts you were present for also. Okay, so as usual, feel free to get my attention by raising the hand icon or simply opening your camera and audio and getting my attention. You're welcome to share something at any point you like tonight. And so the kind of wrap up that I'd like to do if we finish tonight is addressing basically the question of, so how are we to deal with evil when we confront it? What are we to do with that? We've talked quite a bit. I mean, it's a lifelong kind of a study, or could be, but we've talked quite a bit about different aspects of evil and what it is and what it isn't, and how we feel about it, and where it might originate, and so on. Um, and some practical things, I hope. So tonight, on the practical side of things, so given this dualistic world that we live in and this good and evil nature that we encounter in the world around us and also in the world within us, what do we do with that? And how do we cope with it? Maybe more importantly, how when we confront it in ourselves or in the world around us actively, what can we do? So, because as we've also mentioned, it seems like so much of the world is really way beyond any of our control, and that what we do doesn't seem to have much of an impact in the big scheme of things. None of us here are power players in the world of finance or religion or government or society or any of those things. We're not big influencers or any of that. So what do we do with it? So I thought where I would start tonight, and again, you're welcome to chime in anytime. I'll also, at a certain point, specifically invite group discussion. I thought I would share a few things from Yeshua's teaching, or that's the name I use, as you all know by now, for Jesus, because that was his name in his own native Hebrew language. Some things that were noticeable to me in what he did or what he taught that I think could translate into helpful things for us today. So I want to mention a few of those. Um, One of them, and there are quite a number, I picked a few because there are lots. Pardon me. One of them is the story of what's called the mote in the eye. And the idea is that um, this is part of the so-called Sermon on the Mount section of the New Testament, which is found in Matthew chapters 5, 6, and 7. And in it, he's talking to people who are complaining about others, who are complaining about their brothers or their family members or the priesthood or whoever it is they're complaining about, or some neighbors, somebody they're upset with, and pointing out their flaws and their failings. And basically, um, Jesus, I'm paraphrasing, Jesus says, why is it that you are so busy pointing out the little speck of something in your brother's eye when you ignore the log that's in your own eye? And so the idea to me being that while we're quick to find fault with others, even relatively small ones, and make a big deal out of them if they are ones that disturb us, we're much more reticent to notice and point out and deal with our own flaws, which are sometimes quite bigger and more serious than the ones we may be complaining about in other people. So I think one of the hints there is that we need to work on ourselves first, and the our inclination to do things that we know is wrong, our inclination to cause pain to someone because perhaps they frightened us or let us down or caused us pain. Um, our inclination to do things that we know are bad, or even our kind of weird draw to horrible things, to watch that in ourselves and work on it. And we may think we're not really drawn to horrible things. And, by and large, I mean, like horrific things that we sometimes see in the world. None of us here are really drawn to those, but it's the kind of traffic accident thing. There's you're watching a race because you like racing, and there's this big accident. And the accident part's the part that you get real enthused about. Not really because you want to see anybody hurt or severely injured or anything, but there's just some kind of weird draw that the human consciousness has to kind of terrible things. We're fascinated by them. Or look at the popularity of true crime shows and true crime magazines on the internet, on streaming channels and stuff. They have huge followings and some of the crimes are pretty terrible. Um, so our fascination with that sort of thing, while in one way it's kind of a common human thing, if we get too fascinated by it, that can be really troublesome. And the habitual tendencies we have to lash out at somebody who doesn't agree with us verbally or worse, the tendencies we have to reject out of hand anything somebody says if we've already decided we don't like that person or the group they belong to. Our tendencies to always put the blame on somebody else and always play the victim. Those kind of things, while they certainly don't cause world catastrophes, do contribute to that dark energy, if you will, in the world as we feed it in ourselves. The desire for revenge, the anger, the prejudice, all those things that we can kind of lump under that general category of the dark side or the evil side of things or the other side. First place to start is noticing them in ourselves and finding ways to mitigate their influence in our lives, hopefully making them less, at least mitigating their damage if we somehow fall under their spell for a while. Another thing that Jesus said is that while the Mosaic teachings, um, not mosaic like a painting, but as in of Moses, um, the Torah and the teachings of the prophets um, talk about the importance of controlling largely can talk about controlling our actions and not committing murder, not committing adultery, not stealing, not lying, those sorts of things. Yeshua talks about those a lot in this same section called the Sermon on the Mount, and basically takes it a little bit more interior, saying, yeah, yes, definitely it's a good thing, don't murder somebody, but also don't hold hatred and anger in your heart. Because if we hold those kind of things long enough, it leads to terrible actions. It's good to not commit adultery. It's better to not feed and nurture lust in your heart. It's good to not cheat people, but it's better to not be greedy and feed that greed in us and so on. That kind of idea. So it's a similar thing of working on kind of what we're holding in our heart, or if you prefer consciousness, what we're holding there. Not things that come and go through it. Lots of feelings and thoughts arise, partly because we're influenced by all the world around us and the people around us, and things will come up. Those things that come up in our awareness, in our thoughts, in our hearts aren't really the problem. The problem are the ones we hang on to and nurture, particularly if they're destructive. So, paying attention to that is something Jesus was really big on. Um, the other thing I'll mention is that when Yeshua was alive, most Jews, by far not all, but most Jews, or maybe I could at least say many, were very upset with the temple priesthood of the time because the high priest, the rightful high priest, was kicked out, and because the Romans controlled the temple, Israel, including the temple, and the Romans kicked out the rightful high priest and put in a priest of their own, which was initially Annas and then Josephus Caiaphas, who was the one during Jesus's ministry, who were not good people by most stretches of the measurement. But the populace, many of them were upset because they didn't believe they were rightfully in that position and that they were basically Roman collaborators and Roman puppets. And so they were upset with quite a lot of the priesthood, particularly the higher authority priests in charge. They also were upset at least as much, perhaps more, with the Romans, which was a hostile military force that was occupying all of Israel and rather severely, actually, particularly Pilate, who the New Testament kind of tries to present as a basically decent guy. That is the only place in all recorded history that we've discovered so far, of which I'm aware, and I do study some of that, that any historical document has ever described Pilate as being concerned about innocent people, or being concerned about cruelty, or being a nice guy, or even trying to be fair. That just wasn't his character by any historical measure of him. He was a very egotistical, very tyrannical, very cruel ruler. Um, so the fact that he was really concerned about Jesus being condemned and being innocent is historically highly unlikely. More likely that the writers of the Gospels at the time they were writing, which was well after Jesus' era, were concerned about getting in trouble with Rome themselves, and so tried to present Romans as the good guys and the Jewish priests as the bad guys. But during that time, the priesthood itself and Romans were certainly largely unpopular. Some people really hated them. There was a violent rebellious movement against them many, many times. There was a complete party called the Zealot Party, which advocated violence against Rome. Uh, so in the midst of all that, people at various times come to Yeshua and say, so what about the Romans and what about the priesthood and what should we do about these evil people? And and one of the things that they talked about was the heavy and unjust taxation by Rome of the Jewish citizenry of Israel. And should they pay that tribute to Caesar or should they not? And most of the people were hoping when that question arose that Yeshua would say, no, don't pay a dime to Caesar. He's terrible and don't do that. And actively resist Caesar. But you can't find any place in the New Testament where he actually says to actively resist Caesar. What in fact he says is he has people who are with him questioning him. He asks them to pull out a coin. Well, the coin was Roman coin, except inside the temple, where the only place they were allowed in Israel to still use Jewish coinage. So they pull out a Roman coin. It has Caesar Augustus' face on it. And he says to them, so whose face is on this coin? And they say Caesar's. And he says, then render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, meaning give these coins that are required as tax tribute. Do that. Pay them to Caesar. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. These belong to him. And that's the law. And that's their world. And so give that to them. But then he adds something to that, a corollary to that. It says, however, render unto God what is God's. So our heart and soul, our devotion, our faith, our dedication, our allegiance is not to be to Caesar. It's to be to God. And so today, I think one of those examples we can use is that when we see people in positions of power, whatever those, whether it's social influencers, whether it's, whatever the position of power might be, news, um, people in office, when we see people in positions of power, that we're very upset with them. And there's almost nobody that somebody isn't upset with. When we're upset with them, instead of ranting and raving about them and creating all kinds of verbal violence and energetic hostility and perhaps even physical violence as a result of those dislike feelings we have, to give to Caesar what is Caesar's today too, and to render to God what belongs to God today, that we keep our heart and soul focused into that divine aspect of us and our neighbors, not into the people that we can't stand who happen to occupy temporarily various positions of power and aren't using it the way we like. But I don't mean we shouldn't take any peaceful actions that you feel called to take to correct social injustice. I don't mean that. But I think you know what I mean. But this kind of vitriolic hostility to the point of violence, that rather than engage in that or support people who engage in it, even if we don't ourselves engage in it, we go, yay, good for them. Instead of that, to work again on staying ourselves focused in the things of spirit, into the patience, the peace, the joy, the compassion, the kindness, all of those things within us and our families and our neighbors, to try to nurture that, even in the midst of these rather hostile environments that we ourselves live in right now. So Yeshua's advice always began, here, so to speak, within me and within you, and doing what we can to bolster that and to diminish these darker tendencies within us, and to try to encourage the goodness around us as opposed to just complain about the badness around us. The other three things I'll mention that were not, one is specifically Yeshua, two are just biblical. One is that, again, Yeshua and the apostles grew up in a very violent time when we think of Jesus as being the crucified person with maybe the two people next to him. There were quite literally, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of people just in the lifetime of Yeshua and thousands more in the lifetime of his mother that were crucified all throughout Israel. Thousands of them, quite literally, went on for decades. So it was a pretty horrific time. And Yeshua and his apostles were living in that time and trying to teach and do the kind of work that some of us are studying and trying to do ourselves. So they came to him at one point and said, so how should we be praying? And they didn't mean they didn't know how to pray. Jews have prayers for practically, you name a subject, Jews have prayers for it. And they did back then too. They have lots of prayers and lots of blessings. So it wasn't that they didn't know that. Um, but I have had people say to me, I don't know what to pray for anymore. The world is such a mess. I pray for this person to do something and they mess it up worse, and I pray for that person and then they mess it up worse, and I pray for this situation. This person has this horrible family dynamic and I don't know what to pray for. Should I pray for? What do I pray for? It's just such a mess. I don't even know what to pray for. That's kind of what they were really asking is how do we do? What do we pray for? And so his answer to that is something that we now call the Lord's Prayer, which is repeated in Luke, but it originally occurs in Matthew 6. So you can look that up if you like, if you don't know it. Probably a lot of you do. Um, so there's a lot of components in that prayer that have to do with trusting in God, that God will provide what we need day by day, not necessarily today for the next 50 years, but day by day, that we are to forgive people, that we need to be forgiven ourselves, that we need not to be tempted into doing evil things, but that we ask God to spare us from that. There's a lot of those components in that prayer, the very kind of things we've been talking about in this series. So one of the things that, whether you're Christian or Jewish or neither, that you might seriously try doing is the Lord's Prayer. Not as a rote thing, but listen to the words, what it's talking about having faith in the divine, about being willing to forgive and to ask for forgiveness, about trying to not feed that evil impulse in ourselves and be tested by it, about trusting that there's will be provided what we need, and so on. So take a look at that prayer. The other two that are biblical and not Yeshua's recommendation as such, there's a psalm called Psalm 27. I know the ones of you who are Jewish know that one really well, but Psalm 27 is a psalm of David, and at a time when he was in a very dangerous situation and quite likely to be killed by his enemies, which were stronger than him and outnumbering him. Um, it's a wonderful prayer of reminder of where to hold our focus, even in the midst of our fears. And then the last one is Psalm 91, which is another probably prayer of David. And Psalm 91 is a bit longer, but you probably heard it, or if you don't know it, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High. The idea is that we can take refuge in what's called the wings of the Lord. Um, the idea is that we can find that place of sanctuary within us, within our own spirit, and that when we're just overwhelmed and overcome, that we can go to that sanctuary, which is the current house of God. The temple in Jerusalem was the symbolic house of God when it existed, but this, you, and me are the living temples of that God now. And so we can find there this refuge in the Most High God that no matter, it says, even though 10,000 fall at your side, um, it won't touch you. And so it's sometimes called the prayer of protection. And the idea is um, it reorients our consciousness from the fear mode, or can. So it's another good one to try. Again, even if you're not a biblically oriented person or you think the Bible is just a bunch of stories, if you're not remotely interested in Judaism or Christianity, doesn't mean there aren't some helpful things that you might try. And just take them out of the churchy and religious context if that helps you, and just listen to what they really say. Uh, the An interesting aside about Psalm 91, and then I'll quit talking, we'll open it up a bit here. But there was a unit in World War II. I wish I remember the name of the unit. And I can't tell you this is factually 100% true, but it's been repeated and written of a number of places. There was some small unit in World War II, a ground force unit on the Allied American side, that the entire unit prayed the 91st Psalm every single day. And the story is that they didn't lose a single person in that unit through the course of the war, not one. I don't know if, again, if that's can be proven to be true, but it's written of in many places and told in many places. It's a nice idea if it's even if it's not true, but if it is true, it's kind of remarkable. So much for that. So anybody have anything you'd like to share about what you do? How do you deal with this? All the stuff we've been talking about in this series, within yourself or what you're watching in the world that really troubles you. How do you deal with that? Or questions you have about how somebody else deals. I don't have to answer these questions. Any of you can ask or answer them, but how any input you have on questions you have about things to try or things you do that seem to help you with it. And I'll be quiet and you're welcome to open up your camera or mic and share with the group. So great. James, we'll do James, and I just saw Nahum and Shirley's pop up. So let's do James and then go to them.
Well, for me, I kind of rely on my knowledge of psychology.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, it's, everyone has their own little thing, but for me, it's a lot of what's called cluster B personality disorders. So
Hmm.
it's narcissism, histrionic disorder, borderline personality disorder, things like that. For me, I combat what's going on in the world with knowledge. That's always been my thing anyway. And so for me, it helps me to understand, and I used to help people get disability who had these issues too. And, I'm very, very familiar with the pathology. And
Yeah.
for me, I can just listen to someone talk for about 5 minutes. And if there's an issue, I can tell them, or I can figure it out.
Right.
But for me, it's a calming effect, and it helps me, deal with other people in the world. There's sometimes you can't deal with them. You just got to kind of have to break things off. But
Hmm.
and that's a whole other thing. But for me, I just try to understand that these people are hurting, and they believe that they're entitled to something else,
Hmm.
and you just kind of have to deal with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And usually there's not a lot of insight into their conditions, so they kind of just keep repeating the same patterns over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And for me, and then the problem is when people like that get into a position of power in the world,
Right.
and you have an issue with that. But you know, and that's kind of what I deal with. I mean, I work for the in law enforcement in the federal government, so I could walk in tomorrow and be furloughed.
Right. Right.
You just have to deal with it, and you just have to understand that this is in their own way. This is what people wanted,
Right.
and they will understand it in their own way.
Yeah. 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 That's good, James. I I
Yep.
I appreciate that, and I like the knowledge, specifically the knowledge component of it as well, because um, one of the Eastern traditions in like Hinduism, for example, is that almost all of our problems arise out of what they call ignorance, and that almost all of our situations could be solved by what they call knowledge in a really broad sense, not just spiritual knowledge, but understanding how the world works and understanding how we work, and
Yes.
yeah, so that's great. Thank you so much. Um, Nahama and Shuli.
Can do the reading. Okay. Okay. I know you're going to be really surprised by this one, Stephen. The way I deal, and it started during COVID because I felt so helpless to help people, is sending blessings out into the world.
Hmm.
And it was based on that, how we used to end retreat at David's retreats.
Oh, with the circle thing, the song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And I remember we'd turn us all out at the end and we'd send it out to the world.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I can repeat it for people if they want, just do a quick round of it. But what I've made it a weekly thing and sending it out to the world. And one of the things we added at a certain point, my son got COVID during that period. And I went,
My twin brother.
why aren't I doing a prayer for healing? Because there's so many sick people. So I sent I we started doing prayers, and what I've added more recently, not at the very beginning of COVID, but later on, when there was so much aggressiveness out there in our world and people are vying for this and that, I realized that not everybody can receive the prayers. The thing is may the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. And it was that heart. I realized some people, they're so fearful, so angry, so upset, so damaged, whatever, their heart can't accept these kinds of prayers.
Yeah.
So I do healing prayers that people's hearts opened and heal and receive. And I try and remember not to take anything personally. Because it's not about me, it's about them. When people do harmful things in the world, it's about them, it's not about us. Yeah. And if I don't take it personally, I can send that kind of blessing and prayer to them.
True.
If I do, it closes my heart.
Yeah.
I am more unhappy. So that's why blessing has become my practice.
That's really lovely. That's great. Thank you. Yeah, we'll somebody remind me, maybe Nahama or maybe Ani, somebody remind me right before we end, let's teach that to people. Just, I mean, not do a whole big thing, but let's just do it again one time for people, because I think I'm not 100% sure, but the first time I heard that was Samuel Lewis, who was a Sufi that brought a lot of Sufism to the West. And I was at one of his circles of peace dances, and
It is one of the people.
that's what I thought it was. Yeah. Okay. I thought that was. Yeah. It's a wonderful.
That's what you got it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Stephen, you're supposed to know everything when it comes to songs. You know that.
Uh-oh. Well, I better go study up real quick then.
Yeah, get your memory back.
Well, I knew where I first heard it, but I didn't know if I think they originated it, but I wasn't sure they originated it. So, yeah. And that's another thing, if nobody's ever been to a Sufi Circle of Peace dance, they're pretty remarkable if you find one in your area. Thank you both for sharing that. Appreciate it. All right. Anybody else? Anna, please go ahead.
I find that what I'm doing is, I don't know if you want to call it withdrawing or protection, but I find myself.
Did you want to turn on your camera? You don't need to, but did you want to turn on your camera or not?
Oh, no, I'm ready for bed.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Pardon the interruption. Go ahead.
But since I can't control what's so much of the chaos around, I really work on controlling the chaos in my life, which means that I surround myself with people that I find to be supportive and loving.
Yeah.
And I focus specifically on opening myself to loving coming through me to people around me. So in a way, it has helped me focus more spiritually now that I think about it tonight, because in order not to pay attention to all that stuff around me that upsets me, it makes me go more internal and contemplative and focus on the people that I care about and the people that I can help.
Yeah.
And actually be in the quiet, not turn on music when I come on at home, just try to live as peaceful of life as I possibly can right now in my little circle that I can control.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, thank you, Anna. I try to do a lot of that myself, but thank you for that. Lois, please go ahead.
Okay.
There you are.
What I do is I I pray, and I pray by lifting people's that come to me for prayer or for my own prayers, lifting them up above it all after they've shared other feelings and everything
Mhm.
and how they want to pray. I just ask to lift it up to the spirit within both of us, that we're both there as children, and we're just giving this up to
Mhm.
God right now. And that's all we got is that moment.
Right.
So
Right.
when I do that, I feel release within myself as well as release that they have within themselves.
Mhm.
And to me, it's not about me praying for them, but with them
Right.
and giving it up.
Right. Right.
Where two or more are gathered, there you are,
There
right?
you are. Yeah.
God's in the midst. So, and that helps me. And as a pastoral care prayer person at Unity, when people come in, I don't care what the issue is. I'm just there listening,
Mhm.
not trying to fix them or anything like that. I just listen,
Yeah.
and then we do it together.
Nice. Nice. That's lovely. Thank you, Lois. I like that.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else? Mhm.
Hi,
Yeah.
Stephen and Annie.
Hi, Liz.
Hey, I just, I don't think this is an answer to your question, but I just want to say I'm so grateful that I've been hanging around you guys long enough, and Jim and Brian and the crew, um, that I have, when I'm in my aligned place and somebody does something screwy in my world and I could get really angry or whatever, or call them names or whatever, Jim Gordon pops into mind. He was just talking recently about when somebody cuts you off in traffic, you get to say, "Oh, I guess I needed to be woken up," and, instead of yelling, at the other person. And just by osmosis, I've picked a lot of that up, and I can really just look into the other person's um, point of view and go, okay, they're having a really bad day. They just got fired or something, they're on the way to the emergency room or whatever, and try to, or just let that come up in my consciousness of, oh, and it's nice because I know sometimes we have to work on our anger.
Yeah.
And if I can do it like that, the anger doesn't really come through. It's just more of that, oh, let's be curious about this.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's on a really good day. So
Yeah, right.
so I'm really grateful, hanging around with all you guys that I don't have my normal reaction of bleep 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 bleep,
Right,
to
right.
whatever they're doing.
Yeah. I've known Jim for a very, very long time. And I have to say, in the many, many years I've known him, it's difficult to catch him in a moment of anger. He's quite good. I mean, he's not perfect. None of us are, but he's quite good at that. He's he rarely moves into that space when I've been around him. So yeah.
I
Well,
don't know if go ahead.
yeah, it's nice to have um it's nice to have people in our world that don't blow up at the top of a hat like so many people seem to these days. So
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
That's all.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. Anybody else? James.
Oh, just wanted to thank Liz for that. Jim Gordon lives in Austin and I live in San Antonio, and more or less we're like 50% more populous than Austin is, and traffic is horrible. So
Yes.
I'm going to start using that one. So thank you, Liz. If it works for Jim, it should work for me.
Yeah, there you go, James. I still remember San Antonio when it wasn't like that, when it was, kind of a small little uh
Yeah, That was way too long ago.
It was a long time ago. You weren't even alive, I don't think then.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're up to 2 million in the area now.
Oh
So
my goodness.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, well, anyway, that's great. Yep.
So I know nothing about Texas. Is that anywhere close to Austin or is it the other end of the state?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Austin is about 2 hours from where I live on the northwest side of San Antonio, but it's only about 50 miles away.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Traffic,
I get
it's
it. Yeah,
traffic and freeways that are it's not really the
yeah,
distance so much. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
it's just the traffic and any Texans will say anything under 4 hours is a quick drive.
That's right.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah. So you're lucky to be in Lima is another way to look at it, Liz. Yeah.
What was that?
I said, so
Well,
you're lucky to live in Lima, so that's
oh, oh, thank you. I'm actually in Bell Fountain, but it's all good. It's all
well
good.
close. I mean,
It's even smaller.
in the region over there. Yeah.
It's hysterical. My mom's 83 and she gives me very specific directions on how to drive her to her therapy classes, which are like a mile away, 2 miles away. And I got really, how I can miss the lights. I'm like, oh my God. Yay.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else on how you confront evil in your life or yourself, or what you do when it arises?
Look at that. Nobody else ever has
Any challenges with it? Yeah.
any challenges or evil in their life. I'm impressed.
Oh,
I want to know, okay, then if they're not going to say that, then I want to know how you all managed to have a life like that.
good question. I just saw Lance pop his mic open. Go ahead, Lance. That's a good question, honey.
Am I going?
Yeah,
Can you
you're
hear
on.
me?
Your camera's not open, but your mic is on.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm doing everything off my phone. My
Oh,
laptop is just like not doing it tonight. Anyways,
gotcha. Gotcha.
evil does not know how to laugh. I try to find comedy improv in everything that I encounter
You too.
because
You really.
we're so full of material, great one-liners, just with our body functions, our verbal functions, just saying hi. There's always something that is worthy of comment in a
Yeah,
positive
there you
realm as opposed to. Now, having said that, Stephen, can you please tell that joke that you said this morning
go.
about the
Good if
difference between a
good
pit
if I.
bull and a Jewish mother?
Oh.
Can you say that, please? Because I just totally effed that up, right? Big time, trying to share that with somebody who's on here right now.
Well,
And it
sure,
was,
sure.
it,
It's a
so
all of the ethnic jokes, by the way, that I think I know have been told to me by people from that particular ethnic group. But
that's absolutely.
yeah, but I was talking about Mother Mary today, historically, and what we knew about her, which is quite different than some of the things the church has presented, maybe. But anyway, that's what I was talking about, and it was kind of a serious thing, and so I wanted to lighten the mood a little bit, and I was talking about her influence on Yeshua, on Jesus, and how present and how influential she was in his life and the life of her children. And so I said, the old story about the difference between a Jewish mother and a pit bull. Eventually, the pit bull lets go. So, and Lance really thought that was cute, and a number of people thought that was funny. So,
That,
so
all
anyway,
right. So thank you for rescuing me.
yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
All right, all right, all right. My RE. All right, bye bye. Lance out.
Lance out. All right. Yeah, I think the humor thing's I mean, we haven't really talked about that so much in this series, and thank you for adding that, Lance, because I think that's important. There was a priest years ago whose name I don't remember at the moment, but he was well known in certain circles. He was in Europe, And he was one that supposedly did a lot of battle with demons and was tormented a lot and so on. And that was kind of what he was known for in that era. But he always sort of overcame all that. And one of the things he said was that it took him years to learn, but what he finally learned was when he would be dealing with what he called these demons, um, that if he laughed at them instead of being afraid of them or taking them seriously, that they couldn't stand that, and they all left him alone. They couldn't stand that being taken seriously. So I thought that was kind of an interesting story, and it sort of what Lance said reminded me of it. Oh, good, Brenda. Hey, Brenda. I don't know if
Hey,
is it you or is it Larry or both?
right now it's just me.
All
Larry
right.
was here.
Well, go ahead, hon.
Um, I didn't really have anything to say. I'm just trying to figure out how to work this all, and I'm pushing buttons.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Sorry.
since your mic is on, and since you always have really insightful things to say, do you have anything you would like to say?
I love the thought you just gave of laughing, at the demons, and because I've always thought if I felt a demon or whatever, that I would just love him. Like, oh, if you're going to be around here, you're just going to get loved. Maybe go away.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
So I'm sorry. I don't know. How did you know I was on, or how that I was going to say something? Or
Okay. So, what kind of device are you on right now?
it's a smartphone.
Smartphone. Okay. So I don't use Zoom on my phone, so I'm not sure exactly where it will appear, but somewhere in your Zoom window, um, there should be a menu bar. On a computer, it's at the bottom. It's in the Zoom app itself, and there's a menu bar, and somewhere it says participants. Do you have a menu bar at all in the Zoom
If
function on your
I
phone?
don't
if it
see
doesn't
that. We
if
don't
it
need to
doesn't
waste time doing it right now. Sorry.
That's all right. No, well, I can also talk to you about it later, but
Yeah, that's
basically,
good.
basically there's an option you can click. It's called participants, and it will open a list of everybody who's logged into this particular Zoom
I
session.
see that. I see that.
And then next to it, you see a camera icon and a microphone icon. And if they're off, they're in red and they have little slash lines through them. If they're turned on, then they're in black and white. And so your camera's shown as being off, but your microphone icon popped on. So that's how I knew your microphone came on.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Welcome. Yep. All right. Anybody else?
This is Liz. All I was going to say is it took me a minute to figure out if the menu didn't appear, if I just tapped on my screen, it would appear. So
Oh, okay. On
yeah.
a phone? You're talking about a phone also, or are you on a tablet?
I'm on an Android tablet.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
There you go. Thanks, Liz.
Welcome.
Let's see. Shuli, Awanahama.
You were right the first time, Uncle Steve. Um, okay. Before I go, I have to give Auntie her weather update.
Oh, right.
Now, yes, of it's now getting to be weather's dropping here in Florida, so she can do a sigh of relief because it'll be more your weather. Well,
And you
her
can,
weather.
and you
Her
can
weather.
visit.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
60s at the end of the week as a high and the 40s as a low.
Oh, love. That's perfect for us. That's great. Love it.
My point.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's also supposed to be her weather because tonight it's supposed to be storming late tonight.
Well,
So
I hope it
start.
doesn't storm much in your area and that you can just kind of relax through it.
Well, if it doesn't and it wakes me up, you'll be hearing about it.
All right. All right. Sounds good. We'll say a
It's been
special prayer tonight that it doesn't bother you tonight. Yeah.
thunderstorms. It's a toss up, but 99% of the time, yes, it does.
You know, Stephen used to laugh at me because I turned the weather channel on when we got tornado weather, and I'd stare very hard at the screen, and I would make all of the red turn into orange, and all the orange turn into yellow, and all the yellow turn into the green. And he would say, "That isn't really you." And it's like, you don't know that. That's just your opinion. It doesn't mean anything. So you should try it. See if it works for you.
Mm.
I will say that there were some times I was watching the weather map when she was concentrating on that, and the storm area got smaller and smaller. So, who knows?
We
Okay.
never know.
We never know. That's right.
Okay. Now to business.
All right.
Thanks to Lance for doing the thing on humor. Just wanted to say, because me and mommy are sort of mourning right now, MOURN, because of Rabbi Arthur Waskell's death, even though I only have one clear memory of him as a wee one, probably no higher than the kitchen table. You can blame Daddy for this. Sort of met him and said he was a Jewish Santa, because at the time he was a bit heavy set and had a long beard.
Had the long beard. Yeah, I remember. I remember it well. Yeah.
But I remember he was very gentle and stuff. And I have a vague memory of him holding me. So, we've been getting on to, they've been doing Shiva minions online. And it's fascinating hearing all the stories, and some of them just crack us up. And that's some of the parts of the reminiscing that what I love about the Jewish tradition is that you're focusing on the sad stuff, but you're also supposed to focus on the good stuff. What was good, what was silly, what was funny, and also just laugh.
Yep.
Reminiscing. So it's sort of it's both parts of it. It's the yin yang.
That's right.
It's both
That's right.
of both. It's both sad and funny.
Yeah, I agree with
So,
you. That's something I really like about it as well. Yeah.
so that's just it.
Thank you, Shuli. Love you, dear. Anna.
Yeah, there was just another quick one I thought about after Lance talked about humor. I love, and this may not be a good way to do it, I love looking at animal videos on YouTube and baby videos. I don't care if they're real or AI or whatever they are. They're so funny, and it reminds me that there's some innocence in the world
Yeah. Yeah.
that that makes me feel good to do that. So I just try not to go down the rabbit hole too long and stay on there forever, but that helps me.
Me too. Me too. We found a golden retriever YouTube site. It's called The Golden Bros, and it's two Goldens. And most of their videos take place in a swimming pool, and people are putting voiceovers. It's hysterical. Anyway, let's see. So who is back on? Oh, Lance. Lance and Brenda, I just saw both your phones open up. So Lance, you want to go ahead first?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, you didn't?
I
Okay.
swear to God.
All right, I believe you.
I didn't. I petted my dog. As soon as you said the two Goldens, I guess Onyx mysteriously came in, he did something to the phone and said he wanted to
Well,
get his little
well,
pieces of
hi,
it.
Onyx. Tell
Yeah,
Onyx, tell Onyx hello from me. Give him a dog treat or
yeah.
cheese.
All right. Sorry, gang, for silliness. All right, bye.
No problem, brother. Uh, how about you, Brenda? Did you have something, or is your phone just pop open again?
I just unmuted it.
Oh,
And
perfect.
I didn't have anything to say. I just
Yeah.
muted it.
I just had a thought, Stephen. We were listening in on that, and that was very good. I had a thought, something that I'm working on, and that is, Jesus kind of hit on a few things about taking the thought about, tomorrow or situations.
Yeah.
And for me, I kind of think is for me anyhow, that if we give something a power, in other words, if we focus on something negatively, we're actually giving it a power over us, and then it's going to bother us, it's going to torment us. Pretty soon we're angry, and then we get into a tizzy because we actually allowed that comment or person or whatnot or situation to actually get the best of us, and we actually give it a power that it didn't have. And then it overrides our the Christ consciousness, or and pretty soon now we're getting bothered where the peace, the joy that is has been sidetracked, and to give it a power is actually, you're permitting that to torment you, by giving it attention.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something I've been working on, is just not focus on anything that is not good. And the more you focus on it, I heard a saying that where focus goes, energy flows,
Yeah.
good or bad. So if we focus on good things, that's going to be good energy that's going to flow from that.
Right.
And focus on bad things, that's going to be negative energy, and it will consume us if we allow it. And
It will definitely.
that's something I'm working on myself.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. That's great. I appreciate that. Um, so two quick things, then we need to wrap up because we're almost out of time. The one thing is that uh, I'm planning on my intention at this point is to start a new series for next Sunday. I don't know what that will be yet. So the first point is, if any of you have a topic you would like us to address in the inner hour, starting next week, please email me, um, and give me your ideas, and I will definitely consider them, and we might hopefully use them. Um, Otherwise, you're stuck with whatever I come up with. The second thing is that I want to take a moment and close out tonight with this particular blessing that Nahama and Shirley talked about before. And it's there's actually a beautiful, we won't do this tonight, obviously, but there's a beautiful thing that's where it originated in the Sufi tradition, where there's two circles and an inner and outer circle, and the inner circle is facing the outer circle and vice versa. And so there are movements done with this where you're actually connecting with a person opposite you in the as you're singing this, you're singing it actually to somebody who's standing opposite you. And then as you go to the next line, one of the circles moves, so now you're standing in front of a different person. And you sing the next line to them, and then the circle moves, and so on. So it's really quite beautiful. And then at the end of the whole thing, then everybody turns facing outward, and everybody does it to the world at large. So it's a really sweet
Hmm.
That's
process.
really
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, the so if Nahama and Shirley wouldn't mind turning on your camera again, and maybe just a little more slowly going through you don't have to do the movements and stuff. That's going to be too hard to see on the small cameras and whatnot. But if you could just sing the blessing again for us, maybe just twice, just like sing through it twice. That would be lovely if you would be.
I can do that too. I also have a photo of the words that I
Oh,
found.
oh, cool.
And I send that to you and you can send it out to
I will
people
do
if
that.
you.
Thank you. I will definitely do that. Thank you. Oh, that
I'll
reminds
do
me.
that.
For those of you who are on when Sammy was on last time, I talked about a particular process he used that helped him a lot psychologically. He has now emailed us that process. So if any of you were on when Sammy was on and would like to see the process that he talked about, just again, email me and I'll send you his document that has all that written out. And we'll also send the prayer out to the blessing out to everybody after I get it from Nahama. So super. So whenever you're all ready, we'll close with you tonight. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. Look forward to seeing you next week with whatever the series is. Next time, we'll let you know. So it's all yours.
Okay.
May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May that be so for everyone. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. Thank you for sharing that with us. Love you guys. So if you'd like a set copy of Sammy's process that he described last week, let me know. I'll send it to you. And once I get Nahama's email, I'll just go ahead and send that out to all the inner hour list people. So thanks so much, y'all. God bless. Good night.
Thank you.